Well, hey, everybody, and welcome back to another segment that we call a 4-minute faith press. You can see that my French press is behind me, which means that we, like a French press, are called to soak in the presence of God. And so this is a short 4-minute segment. Let's build where we were last week. We've been looking at Hebrew words. Last week we talked about the word Shema. Shema is the most central word in prayer in all the Jewish faith, and we put our pinkies into the air. This is a practice that my daughter and I do on many nights of the week. It would have been a prayer that every morning and every evening the Jewish people for thousands of years have prayed. Jesus himself would have prayed this prayer morning and evening. Now, I don't know if he would have done the pinkies part, which I'm going to talk about in a second, but nevertheless, it's really meaningful. So, pinkies in the air, we're looking at the word Shema, which means hear, as we talked about last week, and not just hear, but hear, let it integrate through your lives, that you know you hear God, you have heard God, not just when you believe God up here, but when you actually integrate God into your life. That's when God says, you've heard me, you've obeyed me, you've done what I've asked, you are my people. So let's put our pinkies in the air and let's say this together. Shema Israel. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. So last week we looked at the word hear. This week let's look at this idea that the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. In other words, no other gods are ours. We don't serve and worship any other foreign gods, that God is our God and God alone. Now, this matters because think about when the context was in which the Ten Commandments were given, out of which Deuteronomy 6 in the Torah was also given. It was given at Sinai after the people were led out of Egypt and into the wilderness toward the Promised Land. The idea was that when the pinkies were in the air and they said the Shema, was that there is more power in the pinky of God than there is in all of the armies of Pharaoh. In other words, this God that has called us out of Egypt, we should not fear that this God will leave us. We should not fear that our God is not strong enough to save us, that this God is more powerful than all of Pharaoh's army, and we can trust this God. Now, this matters to me and Eloise at the end of the day because when we put our pinkies in the air and we think about what it is we're worried about, we think about what it is that we're fearing. We think about what it is that's causing us anxiety. We put our pinkies in the air to say, our God will deliver us. Our God will save us. Our God is true, and we can trust this God, this Yahweh, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. This is our God, and this God has more power in the pinky than all of the other powers in the entire universe. So we can be loyal and trust our God. When you think about the first commandments in Exodus 20, you shall serve no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself any carved images. You shall have no idols. That hear, O Israel, the Lord, he is God. Alone he is God. That he has the loyalty of our hearts. And so I want you to imagine as you enter your day today, or maybe you're closing it out, where is there a contest for the loyalty of your heart? Does God have your loyalty? Does God have your trust? Or are you putting your trust in other systems to cope with the harsh realities of anxiety and fear? Our God is trustworthy and is more powerful than any other thing in the entire universe. So Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. May you walk in the joy of God today, knowing that your God is for you and is mighty to save.